Hello, and welcome to another edition of Talking Togs. And today I have a fabulous fashion and advertising photographer to chat to called Verginiya Yancheva. So, welcome to the show, Virginia.
Hello, it's so weird when we have video. Because I'm used to always do only audio, so.
Yeah. Virginia is a master at talking on audio because of the podcast, which we'll come back to later. But but yeah, she said, fantastic. She has got her hat on. This is good news now.
Just to make a little joke.
No,
That's
no,
fine.
no. No, it's good. One of my other guests said that, oh yeah, the most important thing is for a
Yeah.
photographer to have is a great hat. So we now know that Virginia qualifies as a great photographer because she has a fabulous hat. So that's cool. Okay, then, Virginia, tell us where are you to start with? Keep it simple. Where are you? Where am I talking to you from?
Right now I'm in Sofia, Bulgaria. I don't
Right.
know when you're going to release this video, but probably when you do, I'll be in Milan. No
Right.
joke.
So you're sort of you're traveling around quite a lot at the moment.
Oh, yeah, I do. But fortunately, Milan is going to be just like a girls' night out because it's going
Oh,
to be
that
just
sounds
for
okay.
3 days. Yeah. Time for a little bit of rest.
No, that's good. We all have to do that sometimes.
Yeah, true.
Um, so introduce yourself a bit to us, in terms of your photography to
Well,
those that might not know you as well as I do.
you already guys know my name. I'm a fashion and advertising photographer. I've been doing photography already 10 years, but my story is a little bit different. So maybe I can tell you a little bit more
Yes,
about
please.
that, okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I started at high school, photography high school, and at 10th grade, I was just shooting emails to every magazine in my country. I want to shoot for them. And 3 months after no response of no one of them, I received a call, and it was a lovely girl from one of the magazines telling me that she wants to take a look at my portfolio. And I said, okay, sure. When? Tomorrow, she said. I said, okay, no problem at all. Hung up the phone, ran to the photo, printed all of my images, and I was sort of ready for an interview. So I went to the meeting, and I had this real luck because she asked me for how long I've been studying photography, not in which grade I was. And I was like, oh, 3 years already, because I was in the 10th grade. And for about 2 years, everyone from the editing team of the magazine, they thought that I'm over 18. And one day I just went there to bring some sweets for my birthday. And they were like, oh my God, how old are you now? And I was like, 18. And they were like, oh my God. Yeah, nobody believed. But the thing was
Brilliant.
that I was doing my photography and giving my images on the second floor, and I was signing my papers on the first floor. So nobody knew because it was a big building filled up with magazines. So yeah. And afterwards, I went to university. I preferred to stay in my country. I was also accepted to go to the UK, but back then I thought it's just a good idea to stay here and to get to know all the people working here because they were going to be my teachers. So I started university, and again, at the third year, I decided I'm so bored. So freaking bored. I was going crazy. And I decided I'm going to start assisting, which was so weird for all of my classmates because they were like, "Oh my God, you're shooting for magazines. We were all dreaming about that, and now you're going to become an assistant." But I did, and after 3 years of assisting,
There's a lot of threes involved
yeah,
here.
you know,
So three's the magic number for you.
true, 3 and 7. You know,
Yeah.
when you have consistency for 3 years, then you need to change something. That's exactly what people say about marriages. When you have a boyfriend for 3 years, you either have to get engaged or to marry or do something. And after the 7th year, people usually say you should have a baby or something, or simply do something big in order to just bring a little bit of excitement in your relationship. So
everybody, we are not only getting photography insight, we are getting relationship goals here. This is we get it all on Talking Togs. I love it. Love it. You keep going, Verginiya. This is cool.
That's because it's some sort of a relationship. Even if you have a career, it's sort of a relationship. You still have to wake up every morning and commit to it. You still have to wake up every morning and choose to love it. So after 3 years, I said, okay, enough. I'm done assisting. First, I assisted different photographers, and then I stick to just one for those 3 years. And I was like, okay, enough assisting for me. And I don't know if I was lucky enough, or I don't know, maybe it was just time, but everything was it just clicked. I found a place where to build my studio. I found everything in like just 3 days. Actually, 2015 was really weird year for me. But many things happened to me in 2015, but they were good and bad. But the insights from it was just life-changing, to be honest.
Brilliant.
So for 2 years, I have now in my portfolio I have Bazaar, I have so many magazines, Cosmo, and so many others, and it's just going good.
It is. And good magazines, good clients. That's great. It's encouraging. It's to hear people, making a breakthrough and forging onwards. It's good. It's because there's can be quite a bit of negativity about because it's quite competitive and quite a tough field. And but I think if you've got that gut feeling that you can do this, and you've got the perseverance to do it and the talent to do it, it can still happen in 2017, like it could happen.
Oh,
yeah, because a lot of people sort of say, "Oh, if only I was in the 1960s, when it was all breaking with Bailey and everything. If I'd have been around then, it would have been great." But we're where we are today, and we've got the circumstances we've got today, and probably some ways it's easier to get noticed and get a platform, social media and stuff. In some ways it's harder because there's a trillion other people getting noticed.
That's
and so
true,
forth.
yeah.
It's interesting.
But maybe I'm actually absolutely sure that if you're persistent, if you know what you do, and if you're shooting, for me, that's the key. If you shoot as much as you can, with no excuses, it's just going to happen. If you're completely sure that this is what you want. And there are, of course, some little tricks that you need to know in order to stay in the business.
Mm-hmm.
For example, one of the things that many people do is to lower their prices, but they should be super, super low. And for me, that's a big no-no, to be honest. Even when I started shooting, when I was in the 10th grade, I had an amazing teacher who just told me, be aware of your value. And then at the university, I have this amazing teacher that he is such a big figure in my life. And he told us all, you just have to know that this is your thing, be committed to it. And if you know what you're doing, sooner or later, it's going to pay off. But you need to know your value. And that's the truth. Because if you're really, really, really cheap photographer, you cannot survive for very long. And I think that's a really good insight, because people think that if their price is lower, they'll get the job. But that's not really true. It wasn't true before. But now many good photographers are also giving very low prices. And and that's like a really big clash, because the industry thinks that your work does not is irrelevant, or it's just like a few pennies and that's it. So it's very important, I think, for all of us to be aware of our value, and to do such a simple research. To just have you ever tried to type down in Google how much should I take as a photographer?
Oh no, I haven't tried that.
Well,
No, that's
many people don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem, because many people don't. And if you don't have
a guide price or something in your head, then you just come up with some silly number, and someone would just say, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll take advantage of you."
True.
But also it's a bigger issue in that it's kind of like devalues yourself. It's like you're saying I'm not really worth much, but also it kind of devalues the whole market in a sense, because it just it can become a self-defeating, for the all of photographers. It's like a rush to the bottom, and it is silly because like in other sectors where you've got cost, you've got skills, you've got training, you've got people and stuff, then all of those things have a value, and that comes to a total cost. To sort of just put in prices that are ridiculously low, it is a bit self-defeating. So yeah, it's a good message for us to all take on board.
You're also very right, because if you ask some of the more working photographers, we're all going to say that the market is just, the budgets are not the same. They're not bad. Let's be honest. They're not bad. But compared to what was before, well, there is a big difference. Yeah. And this difference is coming thanks to us, because as a young photographers, we are not aware of what to say. Simply because we did this research. Even if you try it, even if you just type down how much should I take as a photographer daily, first of all, you're going to see all these resources that are telling you actually how are you supposed to calculate how much you should take. And there are other resources that are just telling you the regular price for this is wine.
The day, kind of a day rate for. No, it's probably also it also probably cuts across into the fact that photographers are creative people and artists, and sometimes they've got very strong skills in that area, but they may be weaker in business, marketing, pricing. It's not a crazy concept, that, is it? I mean, I'm sure it happens quite a lot, and the ones that seem to crack it, so to speak, have got both skill sets. In other words, yes, they're talented and can produce good work, but that's only half the story. The other half of the story is they know to persevere and bang on doors and make things happen and quote the right prices and so forth. Because like you say, if you do everything for next to nothing, it's hard to sustain, to live, to put food on the table. It's a rush to the bottom. But if you can get the different elements, I used to have a bit of a background in web development. This is a slight aside, but there is a parallel here. In the early days of web development, everybody had to go to web developers to build their websites. You couldn't just like click on and build your own. And there was a lot of money, and everybody got rewarded well. Then, as there was other alternative solutions, prices came down. But one thing I learned from those days is, and I knew other people in the industry, is that, for example, the banking sector, they would go in and work out all their man hours to build a website and go to the corporate client and they'd say, I can do it for this. And they kept losing job after job after job. And then it's one time they got a sort of someone gave them the heads up and said, basically, you're being dismissed because you're too cheap. Everyone else is coming out, with lots of noughts, And just because of that, everyone thinks, oh, they must know what they're doing because look at the size of the thing, and you're just not in the game. And the fact is that person was really talented, but they were knocking themselves out of the game
True,
by the
that's also
perception.
happening right now with the
Um,
photographers.
so I thought that was quite fascinating. To be honest, I'm going to put my hand up and say that I have got quite a background in business, but this is the crazy, crazy thing. Sometimes I forget my own lessons of business when I put my photographer hat on. Uh, my business head sometimes flies south, but it's crazy, really, because just because we've been chatting, that little story has come back to me. A very true story from another sector, but with a lesson that could come right across.
But it's happening the same in our sector. So
Yeah.
you're absolutely true. If you're working for a big client and this is your first big client and you give really low price, the chance to hear this answer that you're too cheap for them is so big. Because I even have some colleagues that have experience with these stuff.
Right.
I know it's very hard. I know it by experience that it
Yes.
is very hard to start
Yeah,
with
yeah,
high
yeah, it is hard.
prices and just maintain them. And yeah, it's such a big struggle, especially in the beginning. But if you really want it, and I'm sorry about that. You know what? Many people are telling me this about the artistic story, how people in this industry are artists and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry about that, but I don't believe it, to be honest with you. Because yes, you are an artist as long as you are doing your photography. But in order to start doing it, you need to talk by the phone with people. You need to gain those clients. You need to send 500 emails. You need to do your estimates. You need to get our team around. You need to be absolutely sure about the idea, maybe to discuss it, or maybe, especially if the idea is not coming from you. What if you have an agency, an advertising agency there? It's so heavy and it's all business. So most of the people that are too artistic and they're not ready for this business are giving low prices. And they cannot stick around for too long. That's the truth. Because, like you said, if your budget is, your rate is too low, then people are starting.
It's not sustainable.
And they have these suspicions.
Well, yeah. They people think, why is it too low? Yeah. Does he really know what he's doing, or she know what she's doing?
True.
Yeah. Okay, it's cool. Well, we've gone in deep there, haven't we, Virginia? With some industry talk, but it is interesting stuff. But so I want to have a look at if this works correctly, which it has so far with every interview. So fingers crossed. I want with some of your images are going to come up on the screen, and I'm going to get you to chat through. You can chat about what you like. I kind of like knowing like where it was, what happened. Did you have a sausage roll for breakfast that morning, or probably roast beef? Knowing you, some crazy breakfast. So let me try and do that so that we can all see a picture, and we'll have a natter about it. Hopefully a picture has appeared.
Yeah.
A lady with ears.
Yeah, true. Rabbit ears.
I know. I mean, ladies have ears anyway, don't they? I'm really good on anatomy, but this lady's got like, well, they look like ears. Maybe they're not ears. Are they ears?
Oh, they are.
Oh, good.
So I told you that I quit assisting, and right about that time, I made this photograph at the very. Yeah, I think I was aware that I'm quitting assisting when I did this photograph. It was a test shoot, and this was one of the very first photos of the model. And I was there with the model and the makeup artist, the most lovely girl ever. Marina Modenova is her name. So
Say her name again, because she's the most lovely girl ever. We need to flag this up.
Marina Modenova. So she's a makeup
Oh,
artist.
well done, makeup artist.
And I love working with her. And she had to deal with the hair this day too. So I was just like, let's do different setups, absolutely separated from each other, and just come with whatever we have in our heads. And this photograph was done that day, and I was just like, she's so sweet. She's like a little animal. So she's like a baby rabbit. Let's do some ears.
So you created though, or who created the ears?
Me and Marina. Yeah. It was a very, very easy setup. It's just one light from her left, right to the camera, and that's it, with a big umbrella. Like I said, this was.
There's a lot to be said for one light. I shoot when I shoot indoors. I like shooting with one light. Sometimes too many lights confuses me. Less can be more. Sometimes you can throw too much into something, and you can kind of lose the essence. So I like the simplicity of this. It's kind of sculptural. Look at her shoulder and the shadow on it and stuff. I think it's really good.
So we did this photograph, and afterwards it became like a significant photograph for a series that I started thanks to George. George is my soulmate. Maybe people know about him. I don't know. But one day he just came to me and he just said, you know what, because I really wanted to I really wanted to teach other people. I wanted to talk to the new people in the industry, to students. And I was thinking of teaching. And that's why I started my master's. And I was really bored again during the master's because, I love the experience that I had in the university. I cannot recommend to the people to go there or tell them, no, don't go. Because to be honest with you, during my university years, I was very happy, first of all. And secondly, I met so many amazing people, and they were mostly my teachers. So I wouldn't have the chance to meet them otherwise.
Gotcha.
So it was important for me to go there.
Okay.
At the same time, I had so much knowledge about photography that I was really bored during the classes. So what I've learned from my university was after the lectures, when I was actually just talking to the teachers. And when I went there for a master degree, I was really, really bored. And George came to me and he said, you know what, you want to teach, and we are living in 21st century. You want to meet other people, so why don't you just do a podcast? And I was like, what? Are you crazy? Me doing a podcast? So many people are going to listen to it. Oh, no. But then I was really tempted by the idea. And I said to myself, why not? Thanks to him, because if he'd never suggested, I would have never done it. So,
wow. Well done, George.
Good for George. And I started with a podcast again with his help, because he's editing the whole thing and he's uploading it. So do not ask me how to upload a podcast. I have no idea, but George knows. And I started doing podcasts. I did several, and then I was terrified by my voice.
Oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
This is so funny because your voice is so great.
Oh, I truly hated it. So we hold up the podcast for a whole year because I hated my voice.
Oh, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's the kind of the signature thing about the because you've got to do us a treat. You've got to say hello, photography lovers first now. Come on. Because that, when you hear that come on, you think, Verginiya, what's she got? Who's she going to chat to today?
I can tell it. I can tell it just in a few minutes, okay? Because I have something to say. Okay. So we started with a podcast. We published it after a year because I was just being girly, and and then this photograph became like this the signature photograph of the
So
podcast.
there's this, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But that photograph is on like the, not like exactly a logo, but it's kind of like the iconic
It's sort
photograph
of
that
a
goes with
logo.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah.
just type down the fashion photography podcast on iTunes, this is the photograph that you're going to see,
Ah,
because
brilliant.
it was so spontaneous and it was
Yeah,
so beautiful. And like I said, this was the very first photo shoot of the model, so it was something new to me. It was also new for George, and we thought that this is the perfect photo for it. And
yeah.
and
And it's
then
black and white.
oh, it is black and white. Though to be honest with you, the background is actually green, but it was shot black and white straight away.
Yeah,
Like I didn't even try it in color.
good. But
So
you know how much I love black and white.
I do. So after we started the podcast, we decided that maybe it's going to be a good idea to chat with another creative person from the industry every Wednesday and to do
Yeah.
a Friday show. And since I'm guesting your show and I'm starting the Friday podcast with hello, photography lovers.
Yeah,
You can.
that's I loved it. I love when I hear that come on the podcast. I say everybody, the Fashion Photography podcast is an excellent podcast. I love it. I'm
Aw.
a regular listener. We get we get great stories. You get great guests come on and chat, and it's absolutely superb. And yeah, and it's become just like the tune. Even I even know the tune. Like it's like yeah, the tune comes on, and then Virginia's voice comes out. You think, oh, this is great. It's like like a friendly, familiar person, and it's really cool. And they've had excellent guests coming on there talking about different stuff. So yeah, we'll put details about the podcast in the show notes, and we'll
Awesome.
put details about your website and your YouTube channel and stuff for sure. Because yeah, I thoroughly recommend that. It's
Aw.
it's really good content.
Thank
Um,
you. And since we're talking about it, I just want to
yeah.
say that for your audience, I decided to make a small gift, so
Ah,
they can have their own episode that are here first, and they just have to type down my address, my website,
ah,
with /Tim. That's
ah.
it. So my website is Yancheva, which is V. Do I need to spell it, or they can?
No, because
Okay,
I'm gonna put it on the
perfect.
notes and the screen and
Okay,
whatever. We'll make sure that. Oh,
awesome.
well, that's good. Thank you. That's cool. That's it. Wow. That's
Just like a
excellent.
little surprise.
Yeah, good. Well, we like surprises. This is all good. Christmas
Nice.
come early.
Yeah, true.
Okay, this is good. So this would just quickly, just to make sure we've covered all the bases on this lovely shot. This was a kind of a test shot with this model. You
Yeah.
had your makeup artist, who is the best lady in the world, working with this with help you make your ears because she can't. It kind of her look
All of
was
my
kind of
makeup
worn
artists
like.
as the bear are the best, you know.
Yeah. We should say that. Other
We
makeup
should
artists
say
are
that.
available, and they're all lovely. No, the one thing it's so important,
It is
and
important.
is
It
the
is
team.
important to,
Especially in fashion photography, it's the team. The
yeah, to
team
make
is a
sure
massive
that,
thing.
but not just as a professionals. For me, it's also very important to make sure that they're great as people,
Yeah,
because you cannot spend a date with someone you hate. I mean,
no,
sometimes you have to when it's a client and
yeah.
they're demanding. But if you can choose, better choose people that you love, truly love.
I think that's an important thing. This kind of chemistry stuff, because I'm very much into that. Yes, you've got to be good at technique and this, that, and the other, but I still think the things that give things the X factor is when there's a good atmosphere, good energy in the room, there's good vibes happening between everyone, and then I think that's when things open up to another level.
Sure.
So yeah, I concur with what you're saying there. So that was, and it was a simple lighting setup, and yeah, it went on to become kind of an iconic image for the fashion photography podcast.
True. With this gorgeous model. Her name is Vanessa, and she's from. Well, she has so many agencies, to be honest with you, but her mother agency is called Yvette Fashion.
Okay, cool. Nice. Excellent. Okay, let's have another look at another image. Oh, wow. We're loving this.
Well, that's a recent photo from a series we did with another gorgeous makeup artist, Violetta Chaneva. And so
This is colorful.
once you asked me for photographs, I chose this one because exactly because of this synergy of the team that you need to have. Because for this photograph, we were shooting Sia. She's from Visage Model Agency, and Sia came just for this shoot. She was really fascinated because we told her that we initiated the photos, the photo shoot because of her, which was the truth. And my makeup artist did all the golden lines and things on her face, but she was just sitting next to me looking at the model, and she was like, I think we're missing something. And we both looked at her and we both felt it. So we were discussing, and I said, why don't you just put some color and put the same color as her necklace? And she's like, should I put it like all over? And I was like, no, just I'm gonna ask her to close her eyes, and it's gonna be so different. It's gonna pop up.
It is.
It turned out this photo was part of the fashion week in my country. I wasn't even able to go and see it, but I know it was a big print, and
It's
I heard
lovely.
some very good stuff from the people there.
So I was also, what went through my mind just now is that this would make a good front cover for British Vogue under the new editorship of Edward. I am sure he would love this vibe, because I actually just got my the new, it's just come out in Britain, the new Vogue under Edwards. And I only got my copy yesterday, and I was just like going through it and taking it all in, and seeing, you know, the kind of the more diverse, he's going for more diversity. So there's more people from more ethnic backgrounds getting a chance to get get a looking in the fashion industry, and which I applaud that. I think it's great. So when I looked at this, I thought, I could see Virginia doing a cover for British Vogue. That would be cool.
Thank you.
So I really like it. It's so different. Like you say, I like things that are different. Because I hang out with lots of great creative people, good friends, but sometimes you get a sense that everybody wants to, because such and such is in Vogue, not in Vogue as in the magazine, but in the sort of, everybody has to do the same thing. And I think, I can't be bothered. It doesn't excite me. Why be a pale version of everyone else? Why not be yourself? I mean, some people will like you, some people won't, but I like this. What's happening with the eyes? I would have never thought to have done that. It's like a bold move, closing her eyes, but with those dobs of colour, it really works.
Thank you.
Even those little strands of hair kind of pick up the colour of that gold makeup, don't they? Which I really like.
That was her real hair. Oh, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but it works.
By the way, the edit of this photo is not mine. I haven't done the retouch here. It's done by Carla Cordova. Okay. And it's just one of the very few images from my portfolio that I haven't retouched. Yeah. But I think it turned out really well.
Yeah, that she's done a good job with it, because I'd be nervous. I'm a bit nervous. I mean, I know there's some fabulous retouches about, but I kind of, because I'm very into minimal editing. I mean, obviously with something like a beauty shot like that, you've got to get it right. But the thought of something coming out I don't know, crazy. It scares me. But that's really nice. That's really good.
She joined us like so spontaneously. I
Yeah,
didn't really have the time to edit it,
yeah,
and I just asked if somebody wants to gain some images in their portfolio, and she answered right after my post. And I'm always trying to give credit to the people,
yeah, of
to
course.
start with a little bit of just to trust them, even if I
Yeah,
don't know them. But when
yeah,
we talk about work, it's a bit different. So
yeah,
I sent her the photo and I told her I want really minimalistic retouch. I don't
yeah,
want, because she has a really good skin.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
pretty much what you see. And
yeah,
there were
yeah,
so small stuff. And she said,
yeah,
okay, no problem. She tried. And we reduced the skin retouch a little, but she
yeah,
had some suggestions, and I truly love that. And
yeah,
it was so easy to work with her, simply because most of the time my problem with retouchers is that I'm like, less retouching, less retouching.
yeah. You know, I totally relate to that. Yeah, no, that's I understand that. Yeah, less is more, and I quite like it that in the you know, I'm seeing quite a lot of images in glossy magazines that seem to be moving in the direction that I like, and it's only kind of in the sort of other circles, shall we say, that less professional circles where there's still an obsession with making people look non-human, but within sort of like what you might call the industry standards, it seems to be moving in the direction of more, you know, more genuine. I know it's a taste thing, but I actually like that. So yeah, it's quite encouraging. Okay, should we look on to another image?
Sure.
That was superb. So we've had a black and white and a colour. Oh, now this is interesting. Oh,
Um,
this is interesting because we've got a lot of energy here. I like energy. I like the way her hair's swirling. And also, even though it's colour, it's not too
Very
much colour.
monochromatic, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I can live with that.
So
Tell us about it.
this photo was my first photo shoot for Elle,
Wow.
and we really was aiming for this look, very monochromatic. So we had two setups. One of them was with darker background, and we had two combinations, no, three combinations. So white background and darker one. It wasn't really black, but okay. So it was darker. And we have white clothes and really dark clothes. So the moment the team from the magazine came, I just turned to the stylist, because I was from the magazine. I had just the stylist and the assistant of the stylist, and then we had makeup artist, hairstylist, the model, of course. And so the only people from the magazine, actually, I could have asked only the stylist. So I asked her, how are these photos going to be arranged? And she said, well, we haven't thought about it yet. And I was like, yeah, but in order to make the editorial, I need to know how they're going to be arranged. So we made a little sketch where we just drew all the photos and how it's going to be page next, you know,
Yeah,
just as
laid
a
out.
spread. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we had to do this photo, and it was white on white, and that's fine. But we had really big problem with her dress, because what you see is actually a dress. It's one piece.
oh.
And yeah,
Looks
because
like a jacket and a skirt, doesn't it?
yeah, it does, but it's a whole piece. And
Oh, okay.
and it was very weird, because the upper part, especially when you're shooting a lot of fashion, you need to know how clothes work. So
Yeah,
the upper part is quite hard. And whenever she moves, there are all these wrinkles.
right.
And the lower part is very soft, and she can do whatever she wants with it. But we had to come up with a decision what exactly what we want. And we tried several photos with this clothes, and it really didn't work. But the team from the magazine were like, it's fine. And I was like, no, guys, it's not fine. I mean, it's so not working. So give me 3 minutes. I need to think of something, and then we'll continue. Is that okay? And everyone was like, yeah, sure. Okay. I choose this photo to show today because I wanted to say that it's okay to have your 3 minutes break. If you're not sure about the result, better just make one step back and say, guys, go drink some water, eat something. I need to think. Of course, you can ask your team for ideas. That's the best thing you can do. And if you're not sure about the photo, better retake it, think of something, just look for some inspiration on the internet for those 3 minutes, no more. And come up with a better decision, because if you're not sure in your final image, you should know that the audience won't be sure about it too.
Sure.
Yeah, so I had those 3 minutes, and then I was just like, okay, so I need the assistant to go over there and the stylist to go over there, and I want from you, girl, to stand like this. Just on 3, you're gonna move your hair like this. And she had gorgeous hair, and she was like, okay. So we did like 3 takes or something, and we had the image, and we truly love it. It's over here too. It's on my wall, which is a big thing.
I can see. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I just love the. Also, it's like we've got the energy of that hair, but the way she's looking at you is so crisp and still. So she's kind of looking at you, and yet it's like a juxtaposition. Like there's movement, and yet she's looking at you still. And I kind of those two things are in tension, but in a good way, in tension, if that makes sense. To me, just as a viewer, sort of thing.
She's a very experienced model. She's working a lot in New York City. Her name is Pirina. Her mother agency is Yvette Fashion. But she's a very good model. And it's so important to have a good model to be sure that everyone in your team is just clicking with the rest of the team. Because I've had some stylists. I've had some awful stories too. I had some stylists when I'm asking, it was a guy. I was asking him to go and just pick up the dress and do this movement for me. And he was like, just staring at his phone, and he was like, oh, yeah, sure. He went there. He grabbed the dress, and I was like, on 3, and he was like, yeah, sure. 1, 2, 3. What are you doing? I'm sorry about that. What are you doing? Do you have some sort of work or place where you need to go? Just pack your stuff and go. I mean, I need a stylist here. I don't need somebody who's going to chat on their phones. So I've had some awful stories too.
A little bit unprofessional in the middle of a shoot.
Yeah, but that was in the very beginning, thankfully.
Yeah.
So
now you get a pool of people, and you kind of it's. You know who to trust and so forth.
The best thing is that when you gain more experience and your clients are finally here, you have the chance to choose who you want to work with, which is very important, because especially for the previous shot that you showed, the one with the this pinky eyes, for this photo, once I was asked to give the photo for the Fashion Week, I had only one question. Is there going to be a tag with the names of my team members? And they said, we're not sure yet, but there's going to be your name. I said, you know what, guys, when you're sure, call me back, because if there wasn't this team, I wasn't be able to do this photo shoot. And that's the truth, because we're in this type of industry.
No, I agree. It's and you stuck to your principles on it.
I do. Sometimes I'm really annoying thanks to that. It's just me.
I bet George doesn't think so.
I don't know. We should ask him.
Yeah, we're liking your mug. It's not as good as my one. It's
Oh,
not as good
sorry,
as
but I
mine,
have two.
yeah.
Tea
That is
and
true.
water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yours is the best.
Right, okay, let's zoom on to whoosh.
Yeah, I love this model. He is always giving so much.
So much beard.
Yeah, so much beard. Yeah, that's true too.
Beard. You know, there's a lot of kids around these days, so he's on message with his beard there.
Yeah,
No,
but
this is a good shot. Look, there's lots going on here. Look at the setting. Look at the sky. Look at these slats. Look at the energy. Look the way he's sort of leaping off the side rails there. Goodness
yeah.
me, what's the story here?
Well, this photo was made for a magazine that is brand new, I would say. They have just 2 issues. They're called Mem, which is shortened from Mora, Addicted magazine. And the editor is a friend of mine, and also he is a friend with the model. Actually, in this photo shoot, we had 4 different models, so it was really crowded on this photo shoot. We had lighting assistants, thanks to Profoto, because they were supporting us. Is that okay for me to say?
Yes, I for a photo.
Okay, because it's the truth. So they provided the light for this photo shoot, and we had a lighting assistant, we had hairstylist, makeup artist, we had 4 models. Oh, we had the editor, we had a video guy, and what else? I'm missing someone. Yeah,
Nice, huh?
one of the models brought her boyfriend because
Wow.
she wasn't sure if I mean she wasn't sure where she is because she's not from this country. So it was crazy. It was very crowded.
Sounds like a big party.
Yeah, it was. It was so much fun because it was very hot outside and we were just sweating all over. But it was so fun because the theme was super cool. And we have lots of backstage photos from this photo shoot because we were just laughing constantly. It was on a rooftop. We were very high. And I don't mean we were high, you know.
Oh, you were very high up off the ground.
Yeah, we were high up.
I know what
true.
you mean. I know what you mean.
I'm just saying.
You were high. You were high on life because there's such a good buzz in the shoot.
You'll never see me high anyway, so yeah, just high up. Okay, so during this photo shoot, we were sure because the magazine is dedicated to street style. We were sure that we want something freaky, something more connected to the street style. And this gorgeous model, he is absolutely professional. Right now he's in Cape Town, but I love working with him because every time before a photo shoot, he's just sending me messages on the previous days, and he's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry for bothering you. I just wanted to ask, do you think I'm gonna have some photos without shirt tomorrow? Because if I do, I need to go to the to the gym." And he's always so devoted.
So he's very committed to doing his best for the shoots, and he communicates well in advance as well as that's good.
True. So for this shot, it was very funny because I'm usually working very fast. And and I have the photo like in the very first few minutes because I used to work with a film camera, so there you know how much it's gonna cost you if you're just shooting. Yes. So I want to be sure that I have everything prepared and I just need to click the button and it's gonna be all good. But with movement it's not exactly the same because you need to have this absolutely right moment. So for this photo we tried it several times, and I again had this shot, like in the first 6. But he was so dedicated, and the whole team was just laughing like crazy because look at his feet. Nobody is running with those.
Goodness me.
So yeah, we were laughing about this, and he's very, very strong guy, as you can
Yeah,
see.
tough. Big, strong guy,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it was super hot, so he was also very sweaty, just like us.
Yeah.
And we made the first 6 photos, and the team was like, just make him jump a little bit more, please, please. And I was like, leave the guy. And I told him I'm done with that, but he was like, oh, please let me jump a little bit more to make sure we have it. He's one of those guys, one of those models that
He
just
wants you to get a good shot.
the best shot. And he did jump, but again, I preferred the very, photo from the very first that I did. So
Yeah. It's actually picking up on what you just said about film. It is fun. It is funny that because I mean, obviously, some people cross the boundary from film to digital, etc. Um, but I sometimes because I often chat to models, before and after shoots and that, and say, um, it must be interesting being a model, like because you work with different photographers, and different photographers have different approaches and styles. Some are like machine gun, and some are very sort of like me. I'm not like that. I'm kind of more measured. Like I want to get the elements how I want, and then ching, and then obviously not just one shot, but not hundreds. And I think it's kind of that mentality that back in the day there'd be like 24 on the thing, so you can't waste 300 shots to get one
true.
shot. So
Hmm.
that it's kind of, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, I'm just saying I think it's influenced my mindset that I don't just want to just go click 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 and eventually something will happen. I kind of want to maneuver myself and the situation until I've got it.
I have
So
no doubt about it.
and sometimes I look back and it's that might even be the very first shot, and I think, why did I take those other 10? But but sometimes it was good that I did, but
And you should. And you
but
should.
yeah.
Because the model otherwise is so frustrated. They're like, how am I here? I had 30 minutes of makeup, and now you
Yeah.
just one
Go
photo
gee.
with. Yeah, so you have to do more photos.
Yeah, no,
But I
it
can
is
totally
interesting.
relate to that, to
Yeah,
what you said, because
yeah,
when you're starting with film and then you move on to digital, especially because I was shooting black and white film,
lovely.
so it took me quite a while to move not to digital but to color.
Yeah, yeah, can I?
So, but yeah, we have to do some new stuff, different things to elevate our work, our art,
Yeah,
if you want to call it. So, yeah, that's a good way. If you're not if you're not so comfortable with color, better go shoot some color. Maybe
yeah.
not the job for a client.
No, no, but in your personal projects, you can,
Yeah,
and to and this as a fact, that I myself have, because I love black and white, that's my comfortable place. So now, whenever I'm testing with models, I'm always shooting some color and on purpose
cool.
and forcing myself. And sometimes I'm actually, the way I look at it is if I shoot a color shot and I'm happy with it or relatively happy with it, then that's really quite something in the sense that for me personally, because I like normally I wouldn't get that emotional, whereas when I shoot black and white, I have black and white, I shoot in raw and JPEG, so I have black and white in the back of the screen. I know it's because my mentality is in my head, there's black and white film in there. There isn't, but that's the way so I shoot it and I'm thinking in black and white and I'm visualizing in black and white and everything. I want to shoot it, and then I get that good warm feeling. Oh yeah, this is great. So if I shoot color, and I think actually that's not too bad for me, that's like a breakthrough because it's it's harder for me to feel that real that oh yeah, I've got it type feeling with color. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Well,
but
I think I'm getting there.
But it's so cool that you're trying, because challenging yourself is so important, especially for me.
Yeah,
I think that really can help a person to move forward,
yeah,
to have some new experiences or gain a
yeah,
little bit of knowledge, because it is
yeah,
important. Otherwise, if we know all that we know and we think, I'm done with that, I don't need to learn anything else.
Oh
Then
no,
what are you gonna do
no,
tomorrow?
no.
For me, that's very important.
You've got to keep developing and growing. And I mean, even like I find it quite interesting looking at people that work in kind of slightly different genres. I've got some good friends that do a lot of street photography, and there is a kind of a crossover because there's still this storytelling and human element, like in the ones that really do it well. And yet it's just it's a slight divergence, but I find it fascinating and interesting, and it's almost like you could pluck some elements from that genre and bring it into an editorial shoot. I find it fascinating. But again, it's that thing, isn't it, of being open-minded and learning stuff and trying, yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
challenging yourself, that's so
Yeah,
important.
yeah. I think so. It's cool. Well, that's all the images we've looked
Yeah,
at.
true.
Oh, I loved it. That was so cool and so much fun. That was really, really good. Right, now I've got to work out what am I doing? I'm just trying to stop sharing your images. But I'll tell you what, everybody, I'm going to put them at the end because let them scroll by at the end in big size because they're really nice. Have you got any final thoughts for us, Virginia? It's been a pleasure talking to you. Loved it.
Maybe not a final thought, but I just wanted to say that I followed your advice because, guys, I asked Tim, what could be interesting for you when I do this gift for you as a podcast episode?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you said that maybe you said everything but gear. I remember that. But we were also talking about style. So I just want to give you a little hint. That's exactly the episode.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's a really,
that's the
really cool
topic.
thing.
So it's more of a way to distinguish yourself from all the
Oh,
rest of the
good,
artists.
good, cool. That's a really, truly great little podcast
I
that we're
hope
going to
so.
look forward to. Thank you, Virginia. That's superb. And as I say, I'll be putting up notes and links and stuff that go with this video, so it's easy for people to latch onto.
Awesome. That's
Ah,
great. And
well,
yeah, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much for having me. It was a cool new experience because, I'm trying to do more videos. I have this channel, but it's not really working right now.
but it's good to try stuff. I'm just keep pushing out there and doing stuff. That's what I'm doing, and I think it's just fun. It's just fun,
I
and with
hope
some of
it's
these,
gonna be.
yeah, I think it's fun. It's like with this little talking togs. Who knows where it's going to lead to? But I kind of think it's the kind of thing that if I came across it as a photographer, I think, oh, great! I love hearing people chatting about stuff, about pictures, and creating good images and stuff. It draws me in, and so I think, hey, let's do it. Let's have some fun and see what happens. It's cool.
When I told you that I've learned more from my teachers after the lectures, that was exactly what was happening. We were just talking. So
Yeah,
I truly believe that this is a great
yeah,
way to learn.
yeah.
And thank you
Ah, it's
so
cool.
much for having me.
Thank you once again, Virginia. It's been a real pleasure, and yeah, we'll everyone can look forward to seeing this soon. Okay, cheers then. I'm
Thank
gonna I'm
you.
gonna say goodbye. Cheers. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Cheers. Bye.